Hi there, and thank you for joining us on The Nation. The COVID-19 situation saw the need to reassess our digital infrastructure to improve shortcomings and prepare the country to be better equipped to undertake the digital economic drive. Jalinan Digital Negara, or Jandela, is a comprehensive digital infrastructure plan aimed at addressing the rising needs and demand for better quality of fixed and mobile broadband coverage to expand the reach of internet to every corner of Malaysia in preparation for 5G technology. Part of this initiative will require the phasing out of 3G and making sure that the rakyat are equipped to embrace the new and improved broadband experience. Joining me in the studio today is the chairman of the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, Dr. Fadullah Suhaimi, to discuss on Jandela's initiative and second quarter report. Now, welcome to the studio, Doctor. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, so I'm sure this is the many time that you've been in the studio with us. You spoke to my colleagues, Jessie, Elaine, before this. Perhaps before we go into the question on the second quarterly report of Jandela, maybe you can share with our audience, give a little bit of recap on how the first quarter performance was like.
Oh, sure. I think, I guess, as the audience would realize, Jandela began its journey on the 29th of August last year, and it's been quite a hectic journey, to say the least. We've had our first quarter report at the end of 31st of December 2020, and we're now at our second quarter report. And that was a promise that we made that at every quarter we will be providing a report, so that the public at large would understand and see where we are and how we are progressing. Okay, and compared to the first quarter report, the challenge it was different. We just started our journey, but nevertheless, the effort of the industry had been to that they worked very, very hard. And for the first quarter report, out of the 3 parameters that we report, 2 we did better than just good, with a bit of a shortfall for 1 parameter. But for this quarter, alhamdulillah, all 3 parameters we actually hit our targets as planned.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned 3 parameters. Perhaps you can elaborate more, give more insights on that,
sure.
please. Yeah.
The 3 parameters that we do would be in relation to coverage and quality. The first parameter, the 3 would be all about coverage. The first parameter would be for fixed broadband. Okay, in this case, it is actually laying out the fiber to the premises in the country. Okay, so for this, for the last quarter, we did more than 100%, and this quarter, the industry did more than 100% just as well. So which is a good thing, because what we are seeing is that there's a lot more supply-driven approach. People actually plant the infrastructure before there's demand, which is better than us asking for it and waiting for 3 months. Okay?
Yes, true.
Now, the next parameter is the number of new towers. Okay, again, last quarter we fell short because we had a lot of teething problems, as well as local problems at the states in getting approvals. But this time around, the states have also come around to realize the importance of expediting approvals. And for this time, we've done more than 100% just as well, although the numbers are smaller than the last time. But it is only to be expected, because we have a fair bit of towers actually, so the new towers, there won't be as many. And the third parameter is actually to upgrade the existing towers to move, say, from 3G to 4G, and also to improve the optimization of the equipments on it, so that you and I get a better quality of service. Okay, so those are the 3 parameters that we share, and over and above that, we also provide within our report the speeds that you would enjoy on 4G. To date, it's still a marginal increase from before, but that is only to be expected, because you need to first increase the coverage before you can then improve the speed.
Exactly. I mean, talking about, changing the speed to 4G, this drives me to my next question about the latest term. It's called the 3G sunset. Perhaps you can share a little bit about that. What I understand is that, 3G will, slowly be fading away, and then we'll be replacing with 4G.
Sure.
And,
Okay, in the mobile communication space, okay, people talk about this G means generation. Okay, so we all started when we first had our first phone. That's 1G. Okay, and then you move up to 2G, 3G, 4G, and then 5G. You could liken this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like highways. So imagine 1G is like a single lane highway and 5G is a 5-lane highway. Obviously on a 5-lane highway you can drive faster. Okay, so that's the simplest analogy you can give. And and every couple of years the network technology improves. Okay, and therefore today we are moving from 4G to 5G. But you need to shut down the older networks. Okay, so you still have got the 2G network, the 3G network, and the 4G network, and we are increasing the coverage of 4G. So why do we need to close 3G? 3G uses a limited resource called the spectrum that the 4G also uses. So because of that, since spectrum is a limited resource, what spectrum does is that it gives you the ability to get more data and get more speed.
That's right. Because I'm an internet user myself. And if you ask me, 4G seems very, I mean, it's already perfect to me. You know, what's the difference of, you know, moving from 4G to 5G? What do you think is necessary?
Okay, let me just give you a user's experience of 3G, 2G, 4G, and 5G. 2G, we're happy with SMS. Yay, we can do SMS those days, right? You move to 3G, you can do your mails, okay? Then they said, oh, we could do video conference. But really, 3G, you can't really do video conference. Try doing video conference, you get a headache because, you know, it's so unclear. 4G, you can do video conference. You can watch movies now, all right? So everybody keeps looking at the at the phone and watching whatever content.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, you know, back in the days when it was just at, you know, 1G, 2G mentioned, you know, it took about, you know, 3 days just to download a music video, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now so it's nearly instantaneous,
exactly.
Right? Now 5G may not change the experience you and I will get from viewing such content, but a 5G network provides you for people who play games, they will see the difference because the what we call as the lag is a lot lesser. Okay, now what's important is that because of that, machine to machine communications becomes a lot more important on a 5G network. Okay, so what it does to us as consumers, not so much the communications, but it's the quality of life that we'll be facing, you know,
and improving users' experience. All right, well, thank you so much for the insight, Doctor. We're going to have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about the 3G sunset. Don't go anywhere.
Osman is a fisherman while his wife sells crackers online. As their area is quite remote, their internet is slow. This makes it difficult for Osman to market his products online, and he's unable to meet the demands of his customers. Introducing Jandela, a government initiative to improve Malaysia's communications infrastructure and broadband coverage. This move will reduce the digital divide and enable cities, suburbs, and rural areas to receive better quality broadband services. Jandela will be rolled out in phases. The 3G network will be gradually terminated as the 4G network is expanded to give Malaysians access to high-speed mobile lines throughout the country. Additionally, all fiber service providers will continue to lend their support by upgrading their network capacity and deploying more base stations to meet the increase in 4G and 5G traffic. This will pave the way for future technology adoptions such as wireless and fixed wireless access, VoLTE, and 5G to achieve the country's digital agenda. Thanks to the high internet speed that his area now enjoys, Osman can easily find out the current prices of fish. His wife's online sales revenue has also increased. This digital transformation will raise the people's economic status and advance the country's socio-economic progress.
Welcome back to The Nation, Jandela. Now, Doctor, you know, earlier we were talking about 3G sunset. You know, let's go back to, you know, the whole initiative that's being done by Jandela. You know, is 3G sunset necessary? You know, are we ready to shut it down?
Well, let's put it this way. If you ask everyone, you get a whole myriad of answers. Some say yes, some say no. Okay, but at the end of the day, you need to look at what is the real impact that you need. Okay, everybody will want to hang on to something. Okay,
but it's not just a matter of hanging on to something. I mean, I personally think, there are other parts of, the geographically challenged areas of Malaysia that do not even have access to internet. So what do you think of that, transitioning to 4G when, some parts don't even have access to internet, Doctor?
When you talk about some parts not having access to internet, well, because you're on 3G, that's the very reason. Okay, you get 3G allows you to use data up to a point. Okay, give you an example. Remember the young student called Viviana? Mm-hmm. Right. Now, Viviana had problems using video-based data. Everybody said, oh, Viviana did not have internet. No, she had internet, but she had 3G. Okay. The moment we upgraded, we got the provider to upgrade the equipments to 4G, bang, she was back, she was happy because she could do what she wanted to do, right? So in actual fact, the coverage of internet is quite wide for Malaysia. Okay, when people say they don't have internet, what probably people don't realize is that the network that they have there is actually a 3G network. Okay, so it has come to a point when you and I, when we use internet today, it's no longer just for simple mails or simple WhatsApp. We do a lot more video based. So when we don't get to do the video based activity, we say, no internet. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's why it is so important for us to move from 3G to 4G, so that the consumers experience, whether they are in urban or in rural. But I'll admit, there will be parts in the country where you won't get 3G or 4G because it's so remote that you need to use other forms of technology. And in this case, you probably have to use a satellite-based technology, which I've explained before. We are rolling it out over 839 locations across the country. Inshallah, probably we'll start the whole process by May, because the tender will be closed. What day is today?
April.
April. No, today is the 14th.
16th.
16th.
15th, sorry.
Yeah, today is the day that we close the tender. So then process of evaluation will happen, and thereafter we will then roll it out by October. Okay? So there will be parts of the country where you don't talk about 3G, 4G, you talk about speeds and internet speeds. But the rest of the country, which is 95% or so, will be talking about 3G or 4G. And this is where we want all that to be for 4G, and 3G will be shut down by end of this year.
Okay, I mean, you talk about some of the issues is that they don't have access, they only have access to 3G. I understand the infrastructure could be there, but, it could also be the issue of affordability. Would Jandela be addressing such issues?
At this point in time, when you look at affordability, again, we look at the pricing that we have today, right? The pricing that we see, the cheapest in the market is at 8 ringgit for 1 gig for a month. Okay, so that is the lowest entry package that's available in the market, which is, I'm not too sure if the 8 ringgit is expensive or not, but I think it's affordable. Okay, and if you look at a study done by third parties like Asia Analytics, they have also mentioned that Malaysia's pricing for internet is one of the most affordable. So which I think that, in a sense, speaks volume of the effort done by the industry. Okay, but at the end of the day, consumers will always argue, I want it cheaper. Okay, now then the question would then be, what constitutes cheap? Will 1 ringgit mean cheap? Somebody say probably not. If it's 50 cents cheap, but at the end of the day, who is going to roll out the network? So there must be a balance between cost of the network and cost to the consumer.
Exactly, right? And I couldn't agree more with you because, COVID-19, we've seen the rampant shift, to, home-based learning, online learning, and people working from homes. But let's go back to 3G sunset. How is the conversion efforts coming along so far?
It's moving along within the estimated timeline that we have. We have 2 timelines. One is the number of towers that gets upgraded from 3G to 4G. The second would be the migration of customers. So for both the targets for the first quarter, both did better than 100%, which means the industry is doing a lot of on-ground effort to convince customers to switch over, and they have a variety of packages, okay, to entice customers to switch over. And of course, as far as for the network, they too are also shutting down the 3G and changing it with equipments that would support 4G.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because I think at the end of the day, it's also creating that awareness. Like you said, some people might be, refuse to, switch to a 4G network. But at the end of the day, once you're on board, you've done that transition, it'll actually go smoothly. Let's look at the complaints. Despite all the efforts to drive Jandela to deliver better connectivity, there's still widespread dissatisfaction about the quality. What is MCMC doing about it, Doctor?
We admit that there will always be pockets of concerns. All right, people will be complaining. Don't claim that we can solve the problem overnight. Okay, we keep saying we need patience for that to happen. But what we're doing is that we're addressing the complaints expeditiously. Okay, for those that reaches us, we will activate our own process, and people will be addressed within 24 hours. Okay, so that's a promise we made, and we have done it. Okay, and from time to time, we also publish the correction done within the area, so people would see that either in our digital asset, or we'll provide a media statement for that, probably about every 2 to 3 weeks. Okay?
I think it's good that the transparency
we
is
keep
there
transparent.
for,
okay.
Yeah, the right to be
At
aware.
the same time, for as I said, for quality, people just bear with us a little bit, because first we need to fix the coverage first, okay, and then we do the quality. For quality, we're taking a 3-pronged effort. The first effort is actually to reset the bar for quality. Okay, so which means so therefore we've issued out the public inquiry for the mandatory standards of quality of service. The second is that we actually go down to the ground to check that, and we will publish that as we have published in our second quarter report. Selected areas where we have done the audit, we're publishing it for the people to see and say, oh wow, okay, my area seems good. At least you have a sense of where the quality is and where the lack of quality is. And then we also know where do we then move to fix that. And the third approach that we're dealing with quality is actually doing the technical bit. So which is where we are doing the shutdown, the refarming of spectrum for 4G, so all that. So this is a 3-pronged effort, but each one takes a bit of time. So I must say, please do bear with us, okay? But for those who have enjoyed it, well, please shout that it's
yes, you deserve some recognition for all your hard work.
You've got something great going for you guys, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. It's good to know that the various efforts are being done to improve the quality of the coverage. But we're going to have to take another quick break, Doctor. When we come back, we'll be hearing more about Jandela initiatives. Don't go anywhere.
Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the new normal requires Linda, a university student, to attend online classes. She often experiences disruptions from unstable internet connection, as her internet access is shared with other students in her condominium. The high traffic also causes Linda to take a long time to access websites related to her studies. Introducing Jendela, a government initiative to improve Malaysia's communications infrastructure and broadband coverage. This move will reduce the digital divide and enable cities, suburbs, and rural areas to receive better quality broadband services. Jandela will be rolled out in phases. The 3G network will be gradually terminated as the 4G network is expanded to give Malaysians access to high-speed mobile lines throughout the country. Additionally, all fiber service providers will continue to lend their support by upgrading their network capacity and deploying more base stations to meet the increase in 4G and 5G traffic. This will pave the way for future technology adoptions such as wireless and fixed wireless access, VoLTE, and 5G to achieve the country's digital agenda. Jandela's efforts in increasing the reach of fiber optic services enables Linda to upgrade her internet service and get the latest hardware. She can now surf the internet in all corners of her home without any interruption. This digital transformation will raise the people's economic status and advance the country's socio-economic progress.
Welcome back to The Nation, Jandela. Now, Doctor, earlier we were talking about some of the complaints, that people were saying regarding the internet connectivity. But, again, that is not an issue of coverage. It's actually an issue of quality. Now, we look at the city dwellers, right? They're crying out for quality. What about those in the remote area? What kind of hope is Jandela giving out to them?
When you look at quality complaints, it's interesting to note that 80% of complaints come from the city areas, as we call it Zone 1, Zone 2, all right? So which means we are now addressing it by getting the service providers to actually invest more. Okay, now, for the rural, their challenge is not about quality, it's about coverage. Okay, so hence, the strategy for the rural is slightly different. We need to get the coverage out there, and because of that, there are tenders that we have actually issued to cover that. Okay, but they'll take a bit of time. So for the moment, I would say for the rural, in terms of coverage, you're probably around 92%. Okay, so with the tender that is being evaluated now, hopefully that will then, once it's implemented, we should ramp up the coverage for the rural side to hit closer to 97%. Okay, the last 3%, as I said, is very remote. That will still be satellite based for the moment. All right. Now coming back to the urban area for quality, something that I must say is that people need to appreciate that when you want to do certain things indoor, you need to also appreciate that the technology can only support up to a point. Okay, so if you hope to use heavy data streaming type of activities indoor and hope to use strictly only on your mobile phone, I think you might not get the level of quality that you would get as opposed to someone who may be using a fixed broadband with a Wi-Fi at home. Okay, so do understand how technology operates and then subscribe to the right services so that it then befits your own needs within the house.
Exactly, so that's a good message to be sending out, to the both rural and urban communities. Do you have other concerns regarding Jandela's implementation, Doctor?
Yes, okay, Jandela is just not a problem of MCMC. Okay, Jandela is a challenge that needs to be addressed by the nation. Okay, when I say nation, of course, us as regulators, we've got our licensees, we've got state governments who then provide approvals for infrastructure to be built on the ground, as well as consumers. Okay, so everything needs to work in tandem. So for us, yes, we're driving hard. We're chasing the licenses to deliver. At the same time, we also need the state authorities to make things a lot simpler, to facilitate, not to charge high fees for approvals. Well, we respect the right of the state to charge fees for approvals, but we do believe that for Malaysia to be a competitive nation, the ease and the cost of doing business must always be considered. So you do not want to have a situation where some states may cost too much for people to actually pay for an approval, and what happens is that investors shun. Okay, so that's the other part. And for consumers, we hope that they understand better how to use technology so that they use the right technology at in the right way. Meaning, like I said just now, indoor, probably mobiles, broadband may not be the answer for everything. fixed broadband would be the way to go. But if you drop down to mobile broadband, then you have to also manage your expectation, because it's just like, you know, having a fancy fast car, and then or you have a second-hand smaller car and hope to drive as fast as a fancy fast car. You ain't gonna get it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to appreciate and manage your own expectations of what you subscribe to. Okay, and of course, once we are all on a digital plane, obviously the way we behave on the digital space, we must always be very civic-minded. Okay, watch what we say, watch what we do. Okay, appreciate that, you know, everybody has the right to disagree, but try not to generate content, because all of us can generate content. Do not generate content that can cause problems for others. Okay, as much as it might be fun, okay, people may suffer because of a content that is less than right.
Okay, well, thank you. Maybe last word from you, Doctor. Yeah. What can you say about the next chapter of Jandela implementation? Just a quick one.
Yeah. We are into our third quarter. We'll continue with the right pace. Okay, we promise that every quarter we will report. Whatever that we are committed for quarter one, quarter two will continue. There'll be additional things that we will introduce to make sure that people optimize the network even better for the future. Okay,
well, that's a great message, and all the best to you, as well as to our audience. You know, I hope that has been a very insightful session with Dr. Fadillah Suhaimi regarding the Jandela initiative. I'm Sonia Aisha, signing out of The Nation. See you.